What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Cover Crimson live show today. SEC Media Days number one. Alabama not on the ticket today, but a lot to talk about. Some of our other SEC friends are, and we got even some Nick Saban news to talk about. So all that right here on Cover Crimson. Please like and subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, hit the thumbs up just so you can help us with that algorithm. And remember, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. The Dancing Rabbit Golf Course is the Augusta you can play. The Azaleas, the Oaks, two amazing golf courses right there at Pearl River Resort. Roll Tide, everybody. Let's go. All right, there he is, Clint Lamb, Mick Gillispie with you guys on this very hot and steamy mid-July summer in the Deep South afternoon, talking Alabama football, Beyonce concerts, all-star games in baseball, and the SEC Media Days all in one city at one time, Atlanta, Clint. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay, so if you were in Atlanta right now, you'd be going for the Beyonce concert, right?
Yeah, I'd go. I knew country Beyonce would be worth checking out. 4 sold out shows there. So she's such a great performer. I think you'd probably find it would be probably a fun crowd to be with.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. Obviously, SEC Media Days is underway. We've already heard from Brian Kelly. We've heard from Shane Beamer. We've heard from, obviously, Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner. Quite a bit. As far as the information, you're talking about the 8-game conference schedule versus the 9-game. You're talking about playoff, all of these typical talking points. But the number one thing that got everybody buzzing, and I don't even know if I know you've been doing some other stuff today. Have you heard what Greg McElroy said about Nick Saban?
Yeah, recap everyone. But yeah, he thinks that Coach Saban might coach again.
Yeah, so I'll actually read the exact quote so it won't be taken out of context or anything. But this morning on his radio show, he said, "This is a little bit out of left field, but the question was asked of me, a very much in the know person that I have a lot of respect for and I've spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire. They seem to think Nick Saban's not done coaching." I had a similar reaction. I'm guessing the reaction from the person, Cole, was surprise. He's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Look, if it wasn't someone notable, I'd never say a word. Now, he followed that up by saying that he doesn't really believe it. But, I mean, what are your thoughts, Mick? Before I share, I'll kind of get your reaction to
it. Greg claims that he knew that UCLA and USC were going into the Big Ten like 5 months before everybody else knew. I always thought that was a pretty interesting comment, right? But maybe he did. I mean, he works for ESPN. His dad's kind of a big wig in sports. I don't know where he's at now, but he used to be with the Cowboys and Oklahoma State. I don't think I didn't interpret it like Greg saying, "Hey, I heard that Coach Saban's coming back. I think he's coming back." I think he thinks he talked to somebody who said they could see that happening. And I just don't know that Saban has enough time left on earth to be able to coach again. And I just mean like when you're in your 70s, you're getting up there. Now I'd say he's young for in his 70s, but we saw towards the end of his Alabama career, it was very difficult for him to manage the staff, not just the players, right? So does that mean that he would come back in college at some capacity? I don't know. The NFL, though, I don't know. I mean, I think if he came back, he would come back in the NFL. I could see him coming back as maybe the Dallas Cowboys coach, where he just wants to go give it more shot in the NFL, and then he gets the right coaches around him, where he's not spending all of his time going over and coaching them. I think that when it's in your blood, it's there. You love doing it. He's one of the best ever to do it. So I don't know. I'm sure he sits around probably talking about being in the media and thinks that it's okay, but it's he probably watches games and thinks, why are they doing that? I could do that. I could do better than that, even at this point. so I don't doubt that he probably thinks about it, but then in practical practice, I just don't think he can do it. I just don't think his age will allow him to coach. But look, Pete Carroll's back and coaching in the NFL. I don't see him in college just because I think there's just too many. It's too much coming and going and all of that stuff. I think that it's very, very low possibility. And I'm saying like maybe like 5 or 10% or less. But with that said, I bet you there's a part of him that would love to come back and coach. That's my initial opinion.
Well, he's always said if he couldn't do it at the highest level, if he couldn't put everything he had into it, then he wouldn't do it. And I think he proved that by stepping away when he did. Just everything that had transpired, in 2023, and just losing coaches and having to interview coaches, and you've got players, you're realizing, okay, I'm going to have to spend as much time recruiting this roster and retaining this roster as I am going out and trying to get other players. He just realized he was exhausted from the season before. I think he actually even mentioned that, or someone close to him mentioned either that he was tired or that he was exhausted. It was just getting harder and harder on him, I think, is the way that is what he told Greg Byrne, Alabama's athletic director. So when you look at like kind of a year away from the game and just having to go through that grind, I'm sure that's done wonders. But you'll very quickly get back in that grind, especially when you're starting to reach your mid-70s. So I don't know that I buy into that either. He's got a pretty good gig as far as doing some NFL draft coverage, helping out with game day. He gets to play golf all the time. I think that if he was able to, I think he would love to return to coaching if he was able to, in the sense of be able to once again put everything he had into it like he once did. The fact that he's probably not able to do it, or at least not to that extent or that degree, I don't think he's going to be coming back to coaching. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, people's been speculating all over the place, but I wonder who the source is, though. I've kind of wondered. I have no idea. I would be purely speculating, but
probably an agent, and
that would make sense. Now, who would be talking to Greg too?
Well, I mean, the Jimmy Sexton type guys, and they know, which they would love. I'm sure Jimmy Sexton would love Coach Saban to eventually get back into coaching again, because you know what that means, right?
He gets paid, but
he gets another big ass payday. Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure
he's the one that puts the contracts together and all that stuff.
I'm sure he's doing some of that stuff for him still, like TV. Now it's not as lucrative, probably, but I mean, I don't know what all he's handling for Coach Saban at this point. But I'd wondered, okay, and I'm just using a hypothetical name, not saying we don't need to put it on his shoulders because there's nothing to support it, but like Kirby Smart. You got to think, Alabama's starting to do really well on the recruiting trail, and man, this Kalen DeBoer guy can recruit. Let's drop this little nugget that I think Nick Saban could come back. And now all of a sudden everything blows up, and Bama fans are speculating. And because, I mean, he would not go back to Alabama. He wouldn't do it. I mean, because I think it wouldn't work out that way. It would be a team that needed a coach, and Kalen DeBoer is, moving in the right direction and doing some good things. And so I don't think it would be there, but it can throw a wrench into a lot of things. It puts pressure like on a Brian Kelly, who, obviously LSU, Nick Saban. I'm just saying I could see it from a lot of different angles. I'm not going to buy into it too much, but it was at least worth mentioning. I thought it was a huge talking point from earlier. And when Greg was pressed on, he was like, hey, I don't believe it myself, but he's like, I trust the source. And the source seems pretty adamant that he thinks that he won't be done. Didn't say that he would, just doesn't think that he is done coaching. So I guess time will tell, and we'll react to that if it does happen. I just don't think it's going to. But
I wonder what Coach Saban's reaction is going to be. He loves this kind of pressure, right? Like when everybody's looking at him, kind of like, hey, you getting back into coaching? I got a feeling he's going to drop a couple of curse words, and he's going to be pretty poignant, saying that he has no interest in coaching again. But I could see him. Look, if I was the Dallas Cowboys and I'm tired of losing all the time, I'd kick the tires on a Saban. I mean, we kept hearing rumors about that before.
Yeah, but Jerry Jones, he's not doing it. Nick Saban and Jerry Jones could not coexist. There's no way.
Think so?
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Jones would have to literally take a massive step back and let Nick Saban handle everything. And I think Jerry, to get a Nick Saban, he would be willing to do that to an extent, but either A, he would be upfront about it and would not be willing to do it to the extent that Nick Saban would want, and two, he would just act like he'd be all for it, and then he'd try to be stepping in, and once he's hired and everything else, and then it becomes a massive back and forth problem. And just I think Nick Saban's smarter than that. I think Jerry Jones is smarter than that. I mean, I think they have the head coach that they do right now because Jerry can control him, and there's no pushback on how involved he wants to be in the team in the process. So I don't think the Cowboys would be in play, even though that would be if he returned to coaching, obviously Alabama fans, I think they would be a lot more okay with it if he went to the NFL. I still don't think they would be okay with it, but if he goes somewhere else in college, they're going to be heartbroken because it would be a significant program. It wouldn't be.
Hey, what would our reaction be if Saban pulled an LSU Saban and went to Auburn?
He wouldn't do it. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't ask that. I said, what would the reaction be?
Well, I mean, look at me getting all defensive immediately because I guarantee you, the people who are listening right now, they all said the same thing I did. He wouldn't do it. And he wouldn't because, I mean, I do think that the amount of time he spent in Alabama and the love that he has for that university and just, I mean, it wouldn't. I think a return to LSU would be more likely, even though I just don't think that. I don't think that's going to happen either. So.
It's like wrestling, man. You watch wrestling, right? And the old guy, like watching the end of like the Macho Man or, Hogan or, any of these guys that were champ for a long time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they come back in the end and they get their ass kicked. It would be so sorry to watch Saban try to go down to Auburn and get stomped out by us every year because it's just over. That's the truth. It's just over. Like the 73 years, he was the best to ever do it. Love him, still love him. I got him all over my wall here. But it's the game moves past you, man, because of your age. And he could feel it coming, and the NIL and the transfer portal. So it's not a guaranteed win if he goes anywhere and coaches.
I'll say I wouldn't count him out. I still would consider him an elite coach. I think he would figure. Not saying that he could do it to the extent that he did at Alabama, because obviously things have changed. Things have become harder. We've talked about that many times. I think it's just, the way that he operates and he works, he's going to figure out a way. So, I mean, it would be way harder, and it would be, building from the ground up compared to at a place like, Alabama, sub 500 football teams, obviously Hugh Freeze. We'll see what happens this year, but, yeah, I don't foresee that being an issue. Let's talk about the roster updates. Did you see this last night?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Well, we'll touch on a couple of them. Deontay Lawson lost a couple of more pounds. He was listed at 239 last year, was 230 on the spring roster. Now he's listed at 228. He looks thin. We've talked about it. Obviously lost, some mass. I don't know if any of that was by design. I think injury probably affected it, just his inability to work out and stuff. But, that's something to keep an eye on. Now, he's played at that weight before at Alabama, and he was pretty effective. So I wouldn't be overly concerned there. Like Daniel Hill is now added another 2 pounds. He's 6'1", 244 pounds, was 241 last year, 242 in the spring, and 244 now. Not a massive difference. In fact, you could eat a meal, and it changed that much. But him being 244 pounds listed at that, I was thinking back, and I didn't do a whole lot of diving into research, but that would probably be the biggest Alabama running back in quite some time. Pure running back, like a Justin Fowler, a little bit different. He was kind of, got some carries, but he was an H-back, fullback. Derrick Henry, even, he was 242 pounds his junior season, his final year at Alabama. So I thought that was interesting. Jalen Hill is now up to 197 pounds. That's a 5-pound increase. Was at 188 last year, 192 in the spring, and now he's 197. He's getting closer and closer to he's not going to ever have like the elite height of a like prototypical big-bodied X receiver, but he's 6'1", and I think his weight is starting to reflect kind of how he plays, can go up and get it, can kind of body you a little bit, can climb the ladder. I like that. Keelan Russell's up a couple of pounds, 194. Every little bit helps him. He was 175 pounds the senior year of high school, was obviously 192 on the spring roster, but seeing him at 194, I think probably before it's all said and done, somewhere maybe in the low 200, like 2 to 205. I think more than likely he'll probably end up being like a 210 kind of guy before it's before it's all said and done. Let's see who else. Well, this is one that I want to actually discuss for a second. Kelby Collins has lost 10 pounds. He was 6'4", 285 on the spring roster. Now he's 6'4", 275. And the reason that I think that's worth talking about is, you know, sometimes it's not what you think, but he was primarily, from what I saw in the 8A practice, he was an interior defensive lineman. Now I've continued to say I think he's going to see situational work there at Bandit or further out on the edge, 4I, 4, 5 tech. But I started to wonder, okay, is he really going to be primarily an interior guy, being at 285 pounds? That was by far the biggest Bandit. Now he's listed at 275, so he's dropped some weight. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's possible he ends up playing Bandit over on the interior?
I mean, it could happen, you know. I could definitely see that happening. I think you get in there and then you start to kind of do the eye test, right? Hey, how's this working? And he's the type of athlete, though, that I'm pretty comfortable with. That, and I always have loved his versatility.
Yeah, he's always had versatility. Like, he played outside his freshman year at Florida. This past season played on the interior. Has that inside out ability, and he's definitely, it didn't matter what he was primarily. He was going to play inside and out at Alabama.
Well, you said that Clint, you said that when he signed too, like when he transferred, you were like right off the bat, you kind of like the idea that he could really do different stuff, right? And give you those different looks. And this is probably one of the reasons, not only that he loved Alabama, but also he probably saw this opportunity coming, like, man, I can do this or this. And it felt like he was kind of blocked at Florida.
Yeah, I don't think he likes playing inside, if I'm speaking candidly, which could be why he didn't like how things were trending in the spring. So they're like, hey, drops. Maybe he reported a little bit bigger than they were expecting. Maybe it was injury related. James Smith wasn't fully available. They're trying to find another interior defensive lineman for that rotation. Maybe it was just what he reported at, and they're like, hey, you want to play Bandit, that's fine, but Bandits don't need to be quite as big as you are. Drop some weight and we'll get you some more work out there. Maybe it was something like that. I don't know. But from all reports and indications, he has not been a massive fan of playing inside. He wants to play further outside. That could be, in fact, I would say it was probably one of the reasons he wanted to transfer from Florida. So this isn't surprising. In fact, I was kind of surprised when he reported at 285, because I thought that another message to everybody before spring was when he was included on the roster, he was listed as a linebacker. So I was like, 285 pounds, you're listed as a linebacker, but it kind of sends a message like this is not this guy's Bandit. It just defensive linemen that can apply to any of them. They don't differentiate between them in that sense. But I don't know what that means for him, but it's something to keep an eye on. He's going to be a part of the rotation regardless. He's going to play both inside and out. It's just a matter of where does he primarily. I've kind of viewed him as a potential fifth interior defensive lineman rotating in, because you got Jordan Renaud, you got Keon Keeley, you got LT Overton, you've got several Bandits. So if he's playing further outside, it's pretty crowded out there too. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. But that was the other thing I wanted to mention, since we're on the topic of Bandits and stuff. LT Overton went from 280 to 278, so he dropped a couple pounds. Right. Kelby Collins dropped 10 pounds, obviously. Don't know. I think Renaud, he added a couple of pounds. I don't have it sitting in front of me. But Keon Keeley added 2 pounds. So we went from 280 to 282. Now, what this has all done, the lost weight and everything else, Keon Keeley is now the largest Bandit on the roster, which I never thought, being 240 pounds like he was a couple of years ago, I just never thought, he was going to be, I thought he would probably max out at like 260, 265 and play some Bandit once Kane Womack was hired, but I was never expecting 282. He's gotten a lot stronger at the point of attack. He's gotten better, in a lot of different ways. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if you end up seeing him on the field. But kind of, we're talking about Kelby Collins. Biggest Bandit on the roster, Mick, is Keon Keeley.
Hopefully we'll see a lot of Keon Keeley because we've all been waiting on that. Something else you guys want to see as you plan your vacation is this right here, Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City. Our guy Keith watches every day, and he wants you to come hang out with him. Bring a little of that Alabama Roll Tide spirit to Ocean City, Maryland. Look at the views right there. Back to back to back to back. Coastal style hotel of the year. Our friends from the next round went. They did their show from out there. We're planning a trip to go out there. You got the boardwalk. You got secrets. You got all the great seafood. I'm a big crab guy, and that's where we used to go for spring break back in high school. OC. Check it out for yourself. You guys will love it. We appreciate them so much for being part of what we do. SEC Media Days, we got another day tomorrow, and then Alabama comes in on Wednesday. This is, I got to tell you, man, it is exciting. You know, like I've enjoyed listening to South Carolina today. You know, they think they're going to end up better than maybe 10-2 or better this year. And they have a roster that is good, right? And they got a quarterback. They're going to have to catch some breaks. We got to go there this year, which I think is going to be a really tough game for us. But they have high expectations. Brian Kelly comes in right away. He's like, hey, we got to win that first game. They're up against Clemson. They're going to go 0 for 4 in first games. No, I don't know. Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia and the company coming in, we still don't respect them. We're still saying they're going to win 4 games.
That is true. I mean,
no respect, Rodney Dangerfield, but I love it, man. It's fun watching all this stuff.
Yeah, you know, South Carolina lost a lot as far as their interior depth, and Kyle Kennard, you know, obviously was a fantastic pass rusher, was not the best pass rusher on that roster, even though I think Dylan Stewart was still growing and developing. He was only a true freshman. He's one of the college football's best game wreckers on the defensive side of the football, but the interior, their top 4 guys on the interior, they're now playing in the NFL. You know, a lot of depth, a lot of rotation, and just the opportunities that they created for that exterior pass rush to kind of get after it. Kind of, you know, my senior year of high school, we played a 3-3-5 defense, kind of was a hybrid. I'd walk up on the line of scrimmage and it'd be a 4-man front. But when I was playing off the line of scrimmage, I was essentially the 4th defensive lineman. We had a guy by the name of William Ming, ended up playing at Alabama. And the goal was to just allow him to get after the quarterback and not have to worry about responsibilities as much. And so my job was as that 4th defensive lineman. I didn't have pass coverage responsibilities. And if you saw me in coverage, you would understand why. Definitely a 2-down thumper. But, you know, my job was to essentially keep quarterback contained, keep him in the pocket, or if he escapes the pocket, immediately apply pressure. So I would mirror him. But what that did was it allowed our defensive ends to, you know, not have to worry about outside contain. So they could just pin their ears back and stuff. That's not the way that South Carolina played it, but I'm saying that sometimes you can do different things with some of your other personnel that creates opportunities and more freedom for other positions. I'll be curious to see what that ends up looking like for South Carolina this year as far as their interior, because there is going to be a lot more added pressure on a guy like Dylan Stewart. But I think they're going to be good. LSU obviously has a tough test in week 1. Going to be one of the premier games to watch or check out. I mean, Clemson is a national title favorite right now. You know, a lot of people are hyping up LSU, so we'll get to see or learn a lot about both of those teams come week 1. So yeah, it's been a good first day so far. We're just starting to get into it. We're going to be covering a lot of it, but I just thought that the Saban dynamic of this and then the roster updates was a little bit more important as far as coverage today. But SEC Media Days is in full swing. It's the start of the college football season. You got fall camp coming up here in a couple of weeks, so it's time to get cranked up, Mick. I can't wait. We're going to be doing getting back to a regular schedule, by the way. Definitely wanted to bring that up. Yeah,
we're going to go. Well, we're going to go later in the evening during this, just because, you know, like you go at noon today, but it's not over yet, right?
That's right.
I want to kind of hear what everything's going on, you know, and that's the great part about having a YouTube channel and not being on TV or radio. I mean, we can just make our schedule up when we think it's best to get the current information out. So that's what we're going to do, right? Just curious, you know, like what DeBoer's going to say. Probably nothing. He's the best at saying nothing, you know, like I give him credit. Like he's so, you know, just never really says anything. but he's a nice guy and he talks to everybody. but how many times do you leave a DeBoer interview going, man, he really said something here? I give Saban a lot of credit. Saban would that's probably why I didn't like doing it, because he didn't have that BS gene that could just be like, oh, you know what, we're gonna go out there and give it our best shot. Be like,
well, he wouldn't dance around it. If he didn't want to answer something, he didn't give you a bunch of coach speak. He'd be like,
why would I tell you?
Yeah,
why would I tell you that? You want me to go tell the other team that?
Yeah, that's exactly how he'd handle it too. Like, and that was a huge difference. Like, you didn't really get much coach speak out of Nick Saban because he would just not answer it, and his answer would just be that was essentially
what
that was
you
dumb.
Want to know.
Yeah, or he'd make some snide remark, which I totally get, by the way.
Hey, but this, Clint, when you'd ask him a question that he didn't want to answer, and he'd just stare at you.
Well, yeah,
Mike Johnson said he was on with him on one of those Monday shows. He's like the media guest person. He played for Saban, and he said he asked him a question, and he got the vibe that Saban wasn't real happy about that question because of the staring daggers through him that he got for a couple seconds.
But yeah, the longer it takes him to start his response, the more he's not happy with you. Either that or when he cuts you off. But I found it interesting. It's been kind of Ryan Grubb has actually been more, direct as far as when he got asked a question, and then Kalen DeBoer is kind of piggybacked off of that. And then when he gets to ask similar things like the quarterback competition, he said, well, multiple times we've said if we had a game today, it would be Ty Simpson. Obviously, nothing has changed from the end of spring to now. To have changed that, maybe something will change in fall camp. But like, he's kind of piggybacked off the directness of Ryan Grubb, which I just find fascinating. But I think that it's not that Kalen DeBoer's indecisive. It's just once he doesn't want to reveal too much. Like, he wants to be careful. He just goes about it in a little bit of a different way than Nick Saban did, where he wouldn't just tell you that. He wanted to be respectful and nice in how he answered, but he just doesn't want to give up too much. But once kind of Ryan Grubb kind of puts it out there, and it's like, well, I mean, this information's already out there. I guess I can run with it a little bit. Sometimes you'll get him to expand on it a little bit and give his opinion, and I think that's helpful. It's just I don't think we're going to be getting I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen as far as the coordinator availability. Like, Kane Womack was phenomenal last year doing that. Felt like I learned a lot as far as, what they were thinking and how things went wrong against Vanderbilt or whoever they were playing when they were struggling. This is what we were trying to do. This is what they hit us with. I love that stuff. So hope we continue to get Ryan Grubb and Kane Womack, but I don't know if they're going to switch things up or not. But yeah, Kalen DeBoer probably won't get too much from him, but I'm interested to hear from Caden Proctor. Interested to hear from Tim Keenan. I think Tim will give some good answers, and Jeremy Bernard. He did a phenomenal job with Emily Grace in that next round interview. So, he's good in those settings. So I'm looking forward to all three of those guys.
Hey, look good, feel good, play good. Watch Alabama football good. Crimson 20 is our Roback.com code. Get you 20% off your Roback gear, whether you want to look stylish like that guy right there in the Alabama soft but yet comfortable hoodie, or you want a polo, that doesn't have anything to do with Alabama. They have a great selection at Roback. Take advantage of our promo code Crimson20 at checkout. Each email address gets you covered. And wear that gear over at Dancing Rabbit Golf Course and Pearl River over there at the Azaleas of the Oaks. Then go get a steak at Philip M. Steakhouse. But we appreciate them so much, and it's a great time of year to hit Geyser Falls, the water park. They've got a spa. They've got table games and slots at Golden Moon and Silver Star Casino. But it's an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham. It's not far from Jasper. All you people watching in Walker County, what's up? Come on, swing by. Winston County. I love all my West Alabama people, man. Swing over to Pearl River and tell them that you heard about them on Cover Crimson. Also, guys, Cover Crimson, if you can't get here to watch us in person, maybe you just don't want to see Clint's beard on a Tuesday, hey, we got you covered. And that is Cover Crimson Podcast Network. You can get that at a bunch of different places that has podcasts, Apple and Spotify and all those places. So take advantage of that and download us. Put us on the downloads so you get it every day. And it helps us out a lot too. Keeps us together, because if you guys don't watch, we don't have a job. And we want to keep hanging with you guys on a daily basis. So, Clint, anything else, man? I mean, I kind of got some of the business out of the way, but
no, we'll pick it up again tomorrow. We're like I said, we're going to be on a much more regular schedule now. Granted, noon, like we might end up playing around with that. I think we're going to go in the evenings right now, but we'll make sure everybody is kind of up to date or try to do as good of a job knowing when this stuff is going to be dropping. But as far as going 5 days a week, kind of last week took most of the week off. I know you and Coker did some stuff. We did a little bit, but it was like kind of the calm before the storm, and we don't get many opportunities as far as taking a little time off. So took a couple of days. Obviously, I was already starting with A to Z Sports. I'm going to be doing some written coverage for them and a couple of YouTube, shorter length videos, getting more to the point, 3 or 4 minutes. So going to be doing that as well. But I was, doing a little bit over there. Took last week off, but we're kind of back at it. And we'll be doing the 5-day-a-week thing. So we look forward to having everybody be a part of it. We're going to try to go live as much as we can. Didn't really get a chance too much to engage as far as the conversations, but certainly going to do a better job of that moving forward. So thank all of you guys for being here, and we'll continue to kind of get things ramped up as far as the season goes.
I got to tell you guys this, if you stuck around until now, it's football season, baby. It is here. I can feel it. We've been waiting a long time for this. All the BS is out of the way. We'll still keep an eye on recruiting and all that stuff. We love that too, but man, it is about to be football. No. It is football time. It is football time right now. You can just sense it, man. We're talking about South Carolina, and we're talking about them winning 10 games, and Clemson and LSU and Diego Pavia. I heard LT's calling him today the Mexican Johnny Manziel. I love it. I don't want him to beat us, but I love that guy, man. He is exactly why I like sports, because you can't put everybody in a box. Hey, this guy's got to be this tall to do this job, and it's always been a big baseball fan. I love college football, but you can get outside of the box and get the job done. And then tomorrow we'll be talking about 3 other teams, and then we'll talk about Alabama. And then after that, we got practice coming. So I hope you guys get your seatbelts buckled and you're ready to go, because it's go time. And a lot of people are picking Bama right now. I don't know if that's good or bad, Clint. I don't know if that's good or bad. We're not sneaking up on anybody.
Well, I do like that they're getting some respect. I think people are coming around on Ty Simpson, a lot of question marks, but if you talk to people behind the scenes, they feel pretty encouraged about him. So you look at the rest of this roster, one of, if not the best secondaries in college football, one of the best wide receiver rooms. Offensive line, according to a lot of people, is supposed to be really good. I agree. I do worry or have some question marks, but I think overall it's going to be really good. I think everywhere's got some question marks nowadays, whether it be depth or starters. Running back room should be solid. Tight end room should be solid. Defensive line, second level linebackers, like across the board. Special teams, massive question mark. Probably easily the biggest question mark on the team. Don't know. I don't keep up with everybody else's special teams too much, but don't know how that is compared to other national title contenders. But when you look at Alabama's roster, it's pretty damn stacked. Mm-hmm. And so, you're sitting there telling yourself, okay, if they get good play, not necessarily elite or great play, if they even get good play out of the quarterback position, what's the ceiling of this team? And it's like, I don't think Will Howard gave Ohio State elite or great play last year. I thought he was a good quarterback, but he looked probably a lot better due to the playmakers around him in the circumstances. But, they ended up winning a national title. So if they can get Will Howard type of impact out of Ty Simpson, bare minimum, then, I think they are capable of winning a national title too. And I'm glad they're getting that respect.
All right. First off, let me say this. You guys are getting a little overtime right now because we're supposed to be off. But see, everybody bails on us when they hear me doing the reads at the end of the show. So this is like the hidden track on those old CDs.
The loyalist,
we're not done yet, guys.
Are we hitting the loyalist with a little bit more info?
Yeah. All right. Look, this hat came from Innisfree. Our friend Tripp, right there. He hates when I say on the strip because he's technically not on the strip, but in Tuscaloosa, this is his brand. I don't know if he has them in orange, but I just felt like throwing this on today.
I think he's asking
this to school. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good school hat right there,
I wonder if they can wear hats to school now. I can do that when I was in school.
Yeah, they do. Here's one from Mimi, Clint. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Clint. Before we
no, that's all right. I think he.
No,
think he's seeing that you're. I don't know. I thought he was asking if you're font was in orange.
No, this is crimson. No,
yeah.
No. What about my shirt, man? Like talking about like our other gigs.
Well, you're on a beach so daggone much. I mean, you needed something with the logo and get a little beachy.
I'm Clint. I got to get out of here, and you know this because I'm about to go pick up the free bird too. That's a big deal. It's a big deal when you live down here in LA. A little bit bigger bird, a lot of hard work, get to that point. All right, Mimi's one of our favorites.
She is.
Congratulations on the A to Z gig, Clint. Thanks for keeping us updated. Look at Clint, next level.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mimi. And you're always interacting on Twitter and on here. Can't tell you how much we appreciate it. It means a lot. Definitely going to continue to do everything that we've been doing here. So don't go anywhere, but just going to be adding a little bit more. I miss the writing, man. Sometimes I like getting my own thoughts and having some time to think about it, make sure I include everything that I want to. And sometimes, you know, the bosses are like, hey, that article didn't have to be 1,500 words, but it's like, I try when someone sits down to read it, I want to inform them as much as I can, teach them. You know, I want to, you know, I just want people to be informed when they read something. I want great conversations, and no one does it better than our fans or our subscribers and stuff. You guys are great as far as the conversation. So thank y'all so much for being here. And thank you so much, Mimi, for the congratulations.
All right. And then Clint, we're not done yet. Let's just do a couple more. Kenneth says, what if Coach Saban went to Tuscaloosa County or Central High? Now, I'm gonna tell you this story. And I think I've told you guys this before. I learned a lot of baseball from Jim Wells, Alabama's all-time greatest coach. And Coach Wells, like the last time I saw him, he was coaching high school at like one of the smaller schools, maybe like Tuscaloosa Academy or no, one of those. But I can see where it is over by Jug Factory Road. And I'm going, okay, so the greatest coach ever is coaching high school, but it's because he just wanted to coach high school. He just wanted to coach. He didn't want all the bull crap that goes along with the athletic department. And he's still coaching high school somewhere, you know, out there. Lance Cormier was telling me that. I think that the baseball coach, Rob Vaughn, ought to drive to his house, sit down with him, have coffee, and say, hey, come be my bench coach. You know, like volunteer, just be my volunteer bench coach, because the amount of knowledge that you can get. I learned so much baseball. I've been in baseball 20 years now. So my other career is baseball. I tell people this all the time. I learned the game from Jim Wells. Like, he used to let me sit in the dugout with him during practice and talk to me and stuff. Really the foundation of the way I think about things, a lot of it came from him. So you love coaching, you know, maybe you go back and do high school. There's no way though that Coach Saban could do high school coaching because you just couldn't protect him. I mean, like he would be such a draw. People would just, when he walks in, he's a rock star. You know, I don't want to say he's Elvis Presley, but in the college football world sense, he is. So I don't think that could ever happen.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I think from a passion standpoint, and Lance says A&M would pay him anything that he wanted. Kenneth comes back and says Saban has enough money. He isn't in it for the money. I think both people are correct. I think A&M would try to give him whatever he wanted, and I think a lot of schools would try to pretty much give him whatever he wanted. But I also agree with Kenneth that I don't think he would. I don't think he's in it for the money. I think he's way past that. And like I said, he's not coming back to do anything if he can't do it to the absolute best of his ability, put everything he has into it. And, you know, I just don't think he's at that point in his life anymore. So, and he's still in the spotlight. He's still, you know, a face of college football. He's just doing it in kind of a different arena, and he's thriving with that. So just, it takes a lot off his plate. I mean, if you remember back, last year, he was all over everything on SEC Media Days. And right now I haven't seen him yet. And I think it's probably because he's like, I don't know if he plans on popping in or what his schedule is with SEC Media Days. But it's like, I think even on that front, he's been dialed back a little bit. You'll still see him on game day, no doubt. And I'm sure he'll be doing some other stuff, but I think he's enjoying the retired life.
I think so. All right. For Clint Lamb, I'm Mick Gillispie. We appreciate you guys. Check out Pearl River Resort, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
resort.